Hello, and welcome to the War in the Pacific, where it is the 5th of March, 1942, in the Wirraway versus Encircled play-by-mail campaign. Row 68 catches a small transport off Edinburgh Island. Dutch K-18 runs across, I think that's one of my amphibious task forces withdrawing from Jaffna. I-159. Okay, so battleships. Again, I would suspect they're heading to bombard Jaffna, and heavy cruiser. You can see there's Balch. And this is almost certainly units that came all the way from Pearl Harbor early on. One of my concerns this turn is whether or not his carriers would, if they still had fuel and movement, would try to force a battle with my retreating carriers in the Indian Ocean. We will know soon enough. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so there's Devastator. So the carriers are operating just on the other side of Ceylon, it looks like. Right. And he might try to cap the troop. There's three pretty good Chinese corps in the open. There are a bone to be chewed. We sighted some ships in port at Miri. All the Nels find is a small minesweeper. Continue to attack and disrupt his troops at Palacio. No sign of P-40s over Clark. You may ask why am I bombing Clark and not Manila? Seems like most of his engineers are sitting at Clark. Some decent hits on the Chinese there in the open. Sallies go after the airfield at Samarinda. Had some apparently poor intel about the Dutch at Singapore. By the way, while you're looking at the screen, you can see that there were mines here So we're both sweeping the Singapore and this adjacent hex. Didn't lose any ships to it, but uh, it it was we keep finding mines everywhere, so he likes using his mines and is a bit subtle in how he does it. Or devious, maybe a better descriptor. Oh, interesting. He goes for a different target here. Hammering the paratroopers here. Using all his B-17s. And Marauders. Wonder if he's going to try a drop with his paratroopers. I don't know what exactly that would achieve, but I don't need that rail line. And it's otherwise not an important base. Oh, okay. So his P-40s are doing ground attack. Oh no, they were sweeping. They get the better of my Oscars there. Well, he's just hitting what's called Dutch guerrillas at this point. Sonia's keeping airfields and fort buildings suppressed at Lashio. Submarine sank. That was good news when it's not your own. Okay, so can deliberate attack at Chang. Fortifications down to 0. Interesting. Higher number of destroyed than typical, but it's ×3 terrain. The Chinese, of course, get the worst of it. So his raw IV was 479. He's probably down down below 400 now. So his adjusted AV should be under 600. So we still got some fighting to do. letting our units recover that last year before forcing the final battle. The 55th Engineers, though, are gonna rout the Gloucestershire's. Did not order an attack at Urumqi, but I will soon. Again, there's no real urgency. I want to make sure every unit is rested and ready and supplied. And that's a very tenuous supply line. Allied artillery has isn't anywhere near as effective as it had been at the moment at Clark. And he continues to bombard here. Not sure why. Yes. So fragment of my paratroopers is wiped out, I think, by the Marine paratroopers, but they don't. Oh, yeah, they do take the base. I see what he's doing here. Uh, he is cutting the rail line here because I don't own this space yet. Um, I think that's fine. The We can destroy those Marine paratroopers and retake and reestablish this rail line. Sort of, I would say at a leisure because we need to be able to push supplies out to our lead units. But I think you're just going to end up losing essentially a company of Marines for. I'm not sure you even achieve much of a delay. That makes sense now. Okay, the good news, he did not commit, or good news from my perspective, he did not commit his carriers to the Indian Ocean, so we can uh, everybody safely out of here. Let's take a look. Moment, he doesn't have a ton there. So the recon regiment is pushing forward, see if we can grab some supply um, and potentially salvage this situation. Again, I'm not terribly optimistic. Oh, no, wait. So he didn't take the base. They destroyed the paratroopers, but not the unit. And according to this, it's 560 troops, so essentially a battalion of Marines. Um, yeah, so we'll put them to death, as it were. Meanwhile, most of our lead element has arrived and is unpacking. Su- Supplies aren't, I don't have a ton, but they're not in bad shape. And we've got our carriers and troops and supply. Uh, so that is a positive. British unit here. I'm guessing either AA or AT. So I want to give this AA battalion a little more chance to get towards Urumqi because when I take it, uh, I don't want him to be able to immediately uh, bomb it out of existence. So it doesn't look like there are many options for him to do that. How are we doing for supply? We're still a little short on supply. Not bad though. Yep. Getting there. It is a long, long, long supply route. Again, our reinforcements for Luchao campaign are coming. Need to find out what that unit is. And the 40th Division will have to maintain that supply route to Luchao until such time as we can open up this route. Again, that's going to take a while to develop. Let's just check in. Air-to-air losses today. Lost some Oscars. He lost some Chinese. Under one pilot KAA, one pilot WIA to those sweeps from those P-40Bs. Okay, so there are some patrol aircraft, at least recon says there are. No surprise. And these pilots are very experienced and have generally decent ASW skill. Uh, some people also like low nav for ASW, though I never see when a ASW attack is successfully prosecuted. I only see experience in ASW. I never see it in a low nav, but that might not mean anything. Mavises are also very experienced and skilled ASW pilots. So my suspicion is these submarines will withdraw pretty soon. So he has patrol aircraft and probably base force engineers. So we've begun loading for the invasion of Veveu with the cruisers cover and battle cruisers and fast cruisers. So this cover force are the old AOBAs. Sorry. Well, here you have Hiei, Kirishima, Chokai, and Nachi. We'll get them refueled and ready. So carriers, battle cruisers, and we're going to use this invasion task force as bait and see if we can draw more of his surface fleet into uh, an engagement here. Just a reminder, we looking looked like VS2. Can't remember which carrier she was on. Um, wanted to say Lexington. Nope. Yeah. So Intel doesn't know uh, which carrier she's on. Some of you may know, um, but uh, my guess is she's either Enterprise or a Lady Lex. Um, how is that relevant? Well, remember we saw aircraft from VS2, or Intel says aircraft from VS2, part of that strike on our units at Jaffna. And so, again, my suspicion is there are two American carriers there and perhaps a British armored deck carrier, so three more than I wanted to take on with just uh, Zuikok, well, just Cardiff 5 and a couple light carriers. So, what that suggests, though, is that at most there's probably one or two carriers, if any, in SOPAC, and so we should be able to operate relatively low risk with the Kitabutai. I should say the understrength Kitabutai. It's just Cardiff's 1 and 2 with Ruho providing some additional fighter support. Okay, well, um, coming operations in the Tonga Island, Ceylon looks like potentially a operational defeat. We'll have to try again and um, continue battles in central India and in Burma and in China as it should be. Look forward to our next chance to talk.